we were talking with Bailey Klingler, and she talked about how her game changed a lot when she started implementing visualization and meditation when she was at University of Washington. How important is that for athletes?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like visualization, and even I refer to it as kind of imagery, right? We want to kind of have not just the visual, but we want to make that image in our mind as real as possible. So how do we incorporate not only the stuff that we see, but what do we hear? What's our sense of touch, that sense of like feel and movement, even smells, right? Like kind of smells can bring back that memory of what it feels like, whether that's the heat on the turf, that in a place that I'm playing, or the dirt or the spring air or those kind of things. How do we bring in all these different elements to make it as real as possible? And some of the research around imagery is just fascinating, right? That like they've done like EEG caps on people like, actually at the beach, and then like really who have like practiced and do this, and like their EEG brainwave activity is exactly the same. It's just as chill, just as relaxed on the beach as it is actually doing it in a lab, right? Like with people staring them down and having them do it. So, so really like, when we really dial into that imagery, like our brain doesn't know the difference. So we can get reps for some of these, more difficult things like combat sports or that kind of stuff. We can get reps that are no risk of injury, right? Like in terms of, think about pitching and pitch counts and all the things we're trying to do to kind of limit that. Like we're not putting any additional stress on ligaments and shoulders and that kind of stuff, right? And so you can get all these reps that prepare you for these big moments in a way that's completely healthy, completely safe, and keeping you locked in and prepared.
Is that something that they could do? Like, obviously, if someone's coming to you, you can help walk them through that. Is there a practical way, for maybe some kids or parents that are listening? They're like, man, like I want my kid to do that, or I want to do that. Yeah. Is there a practical way for them to do that at home? Yeah. Like, what would you recommend, I guess, for that? Because I think it's really important. And I always just a joke with kids that, I mean, I struck out more people in front of the mirror. Yeah. I probably, I'm the record holder for that, but, and I wasn't thinking about it at the time. It was just what I did when I was little. Right. Yeah. And, but I think the more I would read about it, that's actually a powerful element. Absolutely. But so like, how can someone practically institute that into, I guess.
Yeah, and I think to kind of think about like, all right, like what's the task, like what's the situation? Is that pitching? Is that hitting? Is that in another sport, or what's going on? What are we trying to execute? And then really breaking it down, right? Like in those kind of pressure-filled moments, what are you going to see, right? Like what are you going to hear? What's your sense of touch? What are the elements there? And so just kind of breaking down all those senses and just kind of writing those down. And then, kind of closing your eyes, start with that breath, right? Kind of calm ourselves down and kind of get that focus, and then kind of break through in your mind, like, all right, like, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I feel? And then just like executing that and really kind of gearing towards probably like 15 to 30 seconds, right? Like, having to, the idea of like visualizing an entire half of a soccer match like is not realistic, right? So just think about like what are those small moments. In baseball, you perfectly, right? You have a pitch, you have a swing, right? Like we can kind of do that. Some other sports is a little bit more difficult, but can we, think about like a combo for my MMA athletes, right? Or that kind of stuff. Like what's a combo we want to throw, or that we want to have. And so like, can I just kind of see that happen in that 30 seconds? See that success? Open up my eyes, take that breath, relax, shake out whatever I need to do, and then kind of dial back in.
How long of a period would you recommend doing that? So you're doing it in small increments, but is there a certain period of time that you say, say 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or what would it be?
If you can, do 5 to 10, of reps of that, on a daily basis, like that's going to be fantastic. That striking out people in front of the mirror, right? Like that things that those build, in terms of those skills.
Yeah. If you enjoyed that clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the full podcast, click right here. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you find this content valuable.